Hey there, Mama. Welcome back to the Moms Overcoming Overwhelm podcast. I'm Emily McDermott, and I am here beside you on this journey as we work together to declutter your home, head, and heart. Well, I am in the throes of packing and moving. We have packers and moving trucks and all the things happening within the next week. So today I have a very special bonus episode for you with my good friend Michelle from the Busy Vibrant Mom. And we're talking about how to tackle your to-do list when everything that's on it are things you don't want to do, that you're completely unmotivated to do. And I have a lot of those things on my list right now as I am preparing my house for this move. So I hope that you appreciate it. Perhaps your kids are out of school. Mine are not quite yet. But you probably have a lot of end of school year, beginning of summer tasks going on. And I hope this can be a bright spot in your week as you listen to two moms who totally understand what you're going through. And so without further ado, grab that notebook and pen and let's dive into my conversation with Michelle from the Busy Vibrant Mom. Hey Mama, are you tired of your cluttered home and mile-long to-do lists but are too overwhelmed to know where to start? Do you lack the time and motivation and don't think you'll ever conquer the clutter? You're in the right place. I'm Emily, wife, boy mom, and declutter coach who has overcome the overwhelm in my own life through decluttering and simplifying. I believe every mom deserves the peace that comes from a clutter-free home. Ready to get your life back? Let's declutter your home, head, and heart together.
Welcome back. We have a really special time. Oh, I love this. Coffee and tea with M&E. We get to hang out with Emily McDermott and we'll just talk all about fun things. Emily, how are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm making it through the week. My husband is out of town, so it does require a little bit more planning and being on top of things, which we're already doing this season anyway, right? But I'm making it through. I'm trying to be positive and not get overwhelmed by all the things, right?
Right, all the things. And when your list gets longer, like I know yours probably is from moving, and then you have all the to-do things from moving, which is a huge bucket of stuff on your normal bucket load of school and work and home and everything else. It feels like a lot of tasks.
Yeah. And that's where I've been really drawing on a lot of the strategies that you and I talk about a lot, on the podcast. And then it's like, oh, I actually need to do this so that I'm not feeling completely overwhelmed by everything. Because if you look at the enormity of moving, for example, there's just like so much that goes into it. And it can just be something that you either feel completely overwhelmed by or you just avoid, which are usually like my two responses. But just knowing like, okay, how do I want to approach this? How do you break it down? And just being able to break it down has really helped. And then asking for help, like having people come, like my parents are going to come, help me kind of get through this pre-packing checklist and everything. So doing the things that we know we should do, but are sometimes hard to remember to do.
I love the one of asking for help because like I love packing. I love like organizing things. And I would love to come to your house and be like, okay, I have this really cool tape gun. And I used to like put, the name of each room on the box on all four pieces. Like this is all for bedroom number one. This is all for, and they're color coded. And I loved it. And I would like help people pack. I love it. I love helping people pack, but nobody asks me. So over here. So ask your buddies if they want to like help or say, hey, I need help packing the kitchen. The kitchen is the worst. I feel like you open a drawer and you take out a couple things and you start packing boxes and you were like, oh my gosh, I have 10 boxes and I have like 15 other cabinets.
Yeah, we're kind of in the unique situation that the military is packing us and moving us. And most people would be like, oh, that's awesome. They're packing all your stuff. But I think for me, it's like a control issue. But I want to know, where the things are. And then also there's going to be about 6 weeks between when we pack and when we get our stuff back again. And so some of it is knowing like, what do I not want to pack? Like, what are the things that we need for the 6 weeks? And I think that has been more difficult for me rather than just like, we're going to pack. And then the next day we get to our destination and we unpack. There's a little bit more complexity to it, but it's again, remembering kind of what I teach, like, okay, what do we actually need? What do we not need? We're going to be staying with my parents for about a month. Like, what do they have? Like, there's stores in Pennsylvania, if I forget something, like, it's not the end of the world. But I tend to have this perfectionistic view of like, okay, it all needs to be sorted perfectly so that this goes smoothly. But obviously, that's not reality. And I can always get what maybe I packed and actually needed once we're in Pennsylvania. So it's okay.
Yeah. Ugh, that is a lot too. To then, it's just like another layer. It's like not just a layer of packing, it's the next layer of what do I not need for 6 months and what do I need for 6 months versus just pack everything.
Yeah. Well, 6 weeks, not 6 months. 6 months would be a
6 weeks.
whole other thing.
Good. Well, only six.
I was going to say,
There we go.
I love my parents, but 6 months I think would be a little bit much.
Too much.
Living with
Too much.
them. Too much. Oh my gosh.
So there you go. It's now shorter, only 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I will say that, now with like all the end of year stuff going on at the school, traditionally I would have volunteered for the end of year party. I would have helped with field day. Like these are the things that I've done in the past. And I get the flyers because, we get the flyers and the emails and the texts, and we're being told about these things like 4 different ways. And each time I'm receiving one piece of this communication, I'm like, wow, like I could because, and I have had to really put a personal boundary in place to be like, no, I need to have margin to focus on the move because my husband's going to be busy, with his new business and everything. And it's been really hard because especially if you've done things in the past and you tell yourself like, oh, I can handle that because I've done it in the past. Or some personalities, they're like, ooh, this sounds fun. So I want to do it because it's fun. But then when you actually look at your capacity, it's like, no, I need to actually have space for things. In addition, doing physical therapy because I have this like pinched nerve. And looking at the calendar, I'm like, I did not leave margin for myself in May. Like I didn't, And so when these unexpected things come up or when we have to pivot, but then it's like things have to move and it's like shuffling things, well, you need some place for it to go. And I kind of packed my schedule too much in May and there's not much place for things to go. So now I'm like, okay, I got to protect June like at all costs. So that's kind of the headspace I'm in right now as far as like saying no to things. It's like I really have to draw a line in the sand, knowing that some things are going to get pushed just because, people have to reschedule things or cancel things. I have to schedule physical therapy, et cetera. And that's been really hard for me because this is the last couple weeks that my kids have at the school and with like the teachers and the classmates and the parents and the people that I like. But it's really kind of making that decision about like, this is my capacity and I really have to honor it. And that I will tell you, it's been really challenging for me. I keep wavering like daily.
Yeah, I bet because you're having all these second guessing thoughts like, well, I did it in the past. It shouldn't be that hard. And you're trying to, justify it like, well, so and so is going to be there and they're really fun to work with. And I won't get to work with them again. Or they really do need help. I've been on this committee and I remember that they need other parents to step in. So you're trying to justify it to yourself because you want to do it. You just don't have the time and the energy and the bandwidth to actually do it. So you're doing such a good job. You should make yourself like little gold star like chart to put on the fridge and be like, gold star for me, I said no to this. Gold star, I said no to this. And then it'll remind you like, it's okay. I can't do this.
Isn't that funny? Because usually we do the gold stars about the things we do, but it would be like a gold star chart for what I'm saying no to, which again is really hard for me. And it is hard not to feel that guilt, like, especially about my kids and wanting to quote unquote be there for them. But on the other hand, I know that I'm going to end up being really short tempered and not the best mom I can be when they need me to be that mom and that kind of that secure presence because it's going to be a huge time of transition for them. And so I would rather kind of like be there for them on that end rather than I get to be there at your end of your party. Like it's really thinking of our future selves and kind of like what that person would need and want rather than kind of the short-term gratification of like, oh, I could help or, oh, I could do kind of this, fun things. Yeah, it's not easy, but I'm really trying to just be like, okay, line in the sand, and then I'll focus on supporting my family in the move just here in
Yeah.
a couple weeks. And that's the other thing. It's like coming up really, really quick, which is hard to believe.
Way too fast. It comes fast because you're thinking, oh, yeah, I have time. I have time. And then that big thing, whatever it be, moving, some big trip that you're on, like some big moving schools, like whatever it is coming quick. I know for our kids, as I was saying, we only have this week and next week is finals. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, then we're in summer. And then what are we doing with them? And so, yeah, it's like, wait a second. Wait, how can we have another week of school? What are we doing?
How have you been sort of pivoting with that, knowing? Because I also have on my to-do list, like trying to find a couple camps for the summer now that we know kind of where we're going to be. And I think, been dragging my heels and I don't really know why because the time's coming up really fast.
Yeah, we took it's the summer planning is easy because we have things that are traditionally that we do. So those get slated in first. And this year, unfortunately, a lot of them are all clumped together in June. So our June is really busy. And then July, we're pretty much home for like a month in July from the mid July till August when school starts. I like to kind of plan it out and have like 1 week in between but that's just not how it worked. Our kids really love going to this one specific camp. And in December they were already 47th on the waiting list.
That's
So there was
insane.
like no way they were getting in for the week they usually want that we go. And then they got kind of fussy because they were like, I see my same friends that week and now I'm not going to be that week. And I'm like, sorry, like this is what we can do. So that's, it's just what it is. So I'm hoping they enjoy it anyway, but it is kind of like one of those things like, oh, well, I have no control. I, you wanted to go to this camp and this is the only week it's available. So we're just going to have to make do.
Yeah, you kind of bring up a good point. Like one of the things that is really keeping me, I guess, grounded during this time where everything is really a lot of change is kind of having these like anchor things that you sort of slot in first. And so I have been kind of maintaining those things, whether it be like self-care or like stuff with the kids and their routines and what they do, or perhaps like things that we are planning. Or really, I've noticed I have all of these like random to-dos that often ping in the back of my brain at like 2 a.m. For example, we ordered glasses for my son, and I realized I'm like, they never told me when the glasses were coming in. And I have a feeling they just maybe won't call me. Like, I don't know. So it's like one of those things where you sometimes have to follow up on things proactively, but batching those things together has been really helping me. And honestly, this sounds like ridiculous, but it depends on how everyone's brain works. Today, I had like 5 or 6 errands that I needed to do, and I mapped it out in my brain with the locations, right? And then I put in my notebook, I put like the places and I put numbers beside it so that I would know in what order I went to what thing. And then as I went to UPS, went to Kohl's, went to, the donation drop off.
In your
I was
circle.
literally crossing things off in my car. Like before I would pull out of the parking lot, I'm crossing it off. And that might seem insane to someone but honestly, it is what keeps me grounded because I'm like, I have my list. I need to do these things before I go home. And then I switch to work mode and I'm doing those things at home. And I just need to not get distracted and feel like my mind is in a million places. And if that means I have to write things down with numbers in order for it to make sense, then so be it. And that's kind of just knowing kind of what works for you, how you're able to be more productive when it comes to all of these like random tasks that tend to come up. I feel like, especially at this time of year when you have so much like end of year stuff that is just kind of randomly coming at you. That's really been keeping me sane, having my anchor things and then being able to like think through and batch sort of those random things into something that makes sense, and then try to like attack all of those things at once rather than just like piecemeal. That's what's keeping me sane right now.
Well, you're doing a lot of things that I just realized. You're stepping one step in it. You're like, okay, I'm going to run errands. I'm running these 5 errands. You're not thinking about, and I have to get groceries, and I need to do these other errands, and I should also go pick up those glasses. Should I go to the glasses place? Should I knock on their door and be like, hey, are the glasses ready? You're thinking about these 5 errands, and you're like, okay, I'm focused on the 5 errands. I know this is what I have to get done. I'm going to go in this order. And it keeps your brain moving. It keeps you moving in one step, physically too, because you're crossing it off your list, right? But you're stepping through like, okay. And then it gives your brain a chance to think, what's next? What's the next thing versus, oh, there's this, oh, there's this. And that's, I think, when I feel at least the most scattered is when I have all these different things versus this is the order I'm going in.
Yeah. And I think what's been challenging about this week is that I had 2 clients that canceled. And so then I ended up having extra time that I didn't originally anticipate. And it's like, oh, like, what do I do at that time? Because there are like a million things, right, that I could do, but being able to look at prioritizing, what is coming up, what I have to do out of the house versus what I'm doing in the house. And also my husband is gone this week. And I feel like sometimes I'm not as productive when I'm just like here by myself, and I'm like, maybe I'll put on an audiobook and like make myself some tea and just kind of relax. And then, for some reason, when I'm by myself and there's no kids in the house, I'm like, ooh, it's like a little vacation, but I don't have time for a vacation right now. I have to actually like do so many things. And that's where I know you and I were talking about like motivation. That's where it's like, I'm so unmotivated to do all this adulting stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to like figure out the paperwork for the kids, for registering them for school and then transferring papers. And I know records, I know I'm going to be on the phone a lot and I'm like dreading it, but just maybe, and I haven't done this yet, but just kind of like Googling or using ChatGPT or something like, okay, I'm about to move from Virginia to Pennsylvania. Like, what's a comprehensive list of what I need to take care of in what order? And then being able to look at what I might need to request here before I leave so that it's not such a pain, to get when we move. So that's where I can tend to get overwhelmed too. But I'm like, I really don't want to do this adulting stuff, but it's going to be really painful if I'm in Pennsylvania and then realize there was all this stuff I needed to do while I was here.
Yeah, I like that idea of using chat in that way and saying, I have 2 kids, they are in these grades, and we're moving from here to here. What do I need to get done? What things would it be important to have done before I move? What things can I do after? And maybe having it help you strategically map out what are the must do tasks before I move? And what are some of those tasks that you can do after you move? Maybe sorting things or going through things or whatever are tasks that you can do after, but maybe there's certain paperwork, as you said, like connecting with the dentist or, finding who they recommend when you're moving or all kinds of those little things. Maybe it can help you map that out so you don't have as many little things that are popping up in your brain.
Yeah, and I think part of it is like I don't know what I don't know because last time we moved, I didn't have any kids. It was like 17 years ago when I last moved to this house, and it was within the same state. So it's like I don't even know what I'm supposed to do or what I'm not supposed to do. So I think that unknown can really cause me to feel anxious because one of the things that's a worse feeling for me, and I think a lot of moms can relate to this because of how much we're responsible for and the mental load of motherhood, always feeling like something's falling through the cracks or something, you're forgetting something, but we don't know what until we do, until it becomes known what we forgot, And sometimes it's a big thing and sometimes it's a little thing. Usually for me, it's a little thing. But I will have like nightmares. My version of nightmares is like I am supposed to fly somewhere and I can't find my ticket, or like I'm supposed to go to a concert and I can't find my ticket. It's like I can't find what I need when I need it. Those are like my version of nightmares, which sounds pretty pathetic, I guess. But it's the being unprepared is like my worst fear. And that's what I'm in right now, is feeling unprepared. So I love that idea. I'm going to work on that this week so I can at least have something tangible to kind of hold on to rather than just this kind of overarching huge project, which is moving with kids, right?
And with that overarching project, as you said, you're having like little thoughts of like, oh yeah, I need to do this. Well, what about this? Well, what about this test? But maybe using chat or whatever to help you just map out the whole thing while you're going through it, you can say, oh, yeah, that task we don't need to do, but it could remind you of another task that you need to do that may or may not be on that list. And then we'll help you have a more in-depth list of these are the tasks I need to do rather than I have half of them in my head and half of them on a piece of paper.
Yeah, and I'm already thinking about some ways just in the time that we have left here, kind of like lowering the bar, so to speak, but just like, I'm not going to pack every single thing in the kitchen. So we're going to just have some like basic meals between when the time is that they pack everything and then when we move. But just like, oh, what are all the things I can make in the air fryer? Like, what are the things I can make in the skillet or like grill or whatever? And just kind of think about some of those like easy recipes with like the basic ingredients and everything so that at least I'm like, okay, I can keep, one skillet and one pot and just,
Right.
a few of these like basic things because I don't want to feel like, oh, again, I did this wrong and now we have to go out to eat for like every meal for a week and a half. That's not really our family's way. I don't really like doing that. But again, it's okay, how can I make this simple? Like, how can I make this so it's not overwhelming? We're still getting fed, but it doesn't need to be like anything extravagant right now. And if it ends up being like, the chicken nuggets and pizza for the kids a little more often than usual, then that's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. They can eat breakfast for dinner and
Yeah.
it's fine. Yeah. You might use Chat GPT for that as well. You could do what recipes can I easily make in a crock pot? Give me 10 or whatever and cycle through those. So you don't have to use as much brain power because it could probably give you a whole list of like ones you could do. And then you just cross off the ones that don't work for you.
Yeah, no, that's a really good idea.
Just less you have to think about. You're already doing a lot and thinking through a lot of things. We want to try to take more off your mental to-do list. So the more we can kind of write down, I love to keep a notebook wherever I go, not my phone, because oftentimes I'll get distracted on my phone and then I'll forget what I was writing down. But if I keep a notebook, especially by my bed when I like go to sleep, because I find like you're just about to go to sleep and then you realize, oh yeah, the glasses, are they going to contact me or do I need to contact them? Oh, he needs his PE uniform for tomorrow. Oh, did we get the teacher's gift? And all those like little things that you're thinking about, but you don't have time to do right now and you're going to bed, but you don't want to forget them. So I find if I have a notebook or something, I can write them down. Same as if I just keep a little notebook in my purse or all kinds of places so that I can if I have a thought, I can write it down and then I don't forget it. And then also, yeah, it doesn't stay there and keep popping up.
Yeah, I do that as well. And I try to just keep like one notebook that kind of goes with me. Because
Good
for
call.
me, if I have like all multiple notebooks, then that causes issues for me. But
Yes,
also
that's my problem.
Also being able to like slot in when I'm going to do something. Like, for example, I was working on podcast promotion stuff and I was like trying to get all of that sort of done and going through my own checklist for that. And that glasses thought came in my head again. And so I had the notebook right beside me and I wrote like Andrew's glasses. But then knowing when I'm done with kind of that block of time, looking at that and going like, okay, so when am I calling? Like, and actually kind of like assigning that time to that so I know when that's going to happen because otherwise, yeah, sometimes I can kind of get lost in the shuffle. And usually before I go to bed at night, I am thinking through the next day. I like look at the Google Calendar, what all is happening tomorrow. And then if I have some of these random things that I've thought of that have kind of come up, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll be back from this at this time. And then I'll go ahead and I'll call about the glasses or whatever. But I use reminders a lot on my phone for some of the one-offs. Like, for example, we're supposed to get a call a week in advance from the Packers that they're supposed to come in and do like a pre-move inspection. And so if they don't call by that day, then I need to make sure that I follow up and make sure that that happens. And it's, all the little random things where it's like, you're on the hook because you're not going to get some sort of reminder. And if you miss that window, it can kind of have a negative domino effect with like what's going on after. So I think part of it is, and I know that a lot of our moms can relate, a lot of times we can ask for help, but then also I'm cognizant of the fact that my husband needs to focus primarily on this new business that's going to be like supporting our family. So I'm trying not to bring him in to a lot of this stuff if I can, but then knowing that the burden and the onus is on me to have to be in charge of all of that sometimes can feel a little bit overwhelming. And that's part of the reason I'm asking my parents if they can come and just help me go through the checklist and that kind of thing, having, or like a friend or a neighbor, just like having another pair of eyes on something when you feel
Yeah,
like I'm going to miss something, it just is really
right.
helpful.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing because then you're like, you can let the go of that guilt that I might forget something. Because it's all on me. So I might forget this task. So if you have another set of eyes, you know, whatever that might be, they can at least help with, oh, have you thought about this? What about this thing? And you're right. He probably has a lot on his plate of setting up a new business. Plus, he probably has a whole nother set of to dos that you haven't even thought of. I know that's often with my husband. I'm like, why didn't you even think of these things? And he has a whole different list on his whole page that oftentimes I'm like, I never would have thought of that. Like, I did not think we needed new mulch. I totally forgot that we need new mulch around the outside of our home and that the current mulch might need to be replaced. And it probably needs to be done before summer when it gets super hot because it keeps the moisture in the soil and then our plants won't die. I didn't realize that's something we need to do like now. So that was not on my radar at all.
Yeah, I have a lot of things like that, especially home stuff where it's like totally not on my radar. And you're right. Yeah. I know that there are some things like for example, I'm trying to go through and make sure we don't move stuff that we don't need. So I'm doing kind of like a review and of course I regularly declutter, but there are things that are in my husband's responsibility and realm like tools and things in the shed and all of his little nuts and bolts and all this stuff on the workbench and whatever. And I'm like, okay, I know that you're doing all this other stuff, but I can't make decisions. And I'd rather not have us like move every single nut and bolt if we don't need to. Can you spend some time with me? Just kind of yay or nay, is this staying or going? And then if it's going, I can find a place for it to go. But again, it's just kind of like taking those proactive steps and recognizing that they also have a lot going on that they're responsible
Right.
for. So I'm trying to be patient and then also giving a lot of like lead time and breaking it down into maybe like multiple days that we're kind of chatting about different areas of the home. Because my stuff and the kids' stuff, we're good. Like it's pared down. I know what we're moving. There's nothing that we're not that's still here. But my husband is kind of like a whole other story with the stuff he's
Different animal.
and then, it's like some furniture we're not moving, but then we needed to talk about it. Like, okay, do we want to move the couch that we've had for 20 some years? Or is it like, we don't need that, we'll get something new, when we move? Just we've had to really, of course, be very proactive in communication. It's interesting in seasons of transition, you need to be a lot more proactive with communication with your spouse, with your kids, with everyone. And it's really been kind of a interesting test for us, especially since we're going to be like working together coming up soon, which is a little scary to me. I don't know. I'm sure our marriage will survive. I know that husbands and wives like work together all the time, but I'm like, but we haven't worked together yet. So we're trying to have a good foundation of open communication as we come into this season of transition, which will hopefully serve us well when we are actually working together.
It will, but you'll get to that stepping stone once you move, right?
Yeah.
Right now is all the communication about all the things you need to do before you move and making that process as easy as you can. And then you'll step to the next stone and be like, now we are getting settled and working on a business and working together. So it's a nice puzzle piece. Don't worry about that one yet.
Yeah, it is hard sometimes not to look however many steps ahead and just focusing on kind of the next thing. Because, yeah, that sometimes can cause you to feel paralyzed when you're like, oh my gosh, but there's so much. And then it's okay now. What is just the next thing? the next right thing that you're doing. And that always brings me back down to earth when I can just ask myself, like, what is the next logical thing that you can do when it comes to X, whatever that is?
Yeah. Keeping it simple and stepping forward. Okay. As you said, like your errands list. I'm just going down these 5 errands. I'm going in a row. And then you move on to your next task after you finish the errands, but you're stepping through that. I wonder if having a date night or even a coffee date in the garage to be like, hey, let's make this a little fun. Let's, take a deep breath and like talk through on a date which furniture we want to keep. And, I find that oftentimes when we go for a walk together and we just walk around the block, we end up talking about all kinds of things. And it's like, oh, yeah, what about this vacation? Oh, did you schedule this? Oh, should we do this on this time? Or I was thinking of contacting this person about this. And, you start going through just different tasks and things in your head as you're walking or hanging out.
Yeah, I like that because usually it's at, 9 o'clock when the kids are in bed. And then I'm like, I feel like there's stuff I'm supposed to talk to you about, but I'm too tired, So I like that idea. And then just being able to, yeah, schedule some daytime time together and kind of make it a little fun. And I do think when it comes to being like motivated to kind of do some of these things, just being able to kind of have like a fun element to it is helpful. I've been listening to a lot of like audiobooks, and I used to just read nonfiction like all the time. And I've sort of done a complete 180, and now I'm doing fiction, and not like steamy romance, but like rom-com kind of fun, light sort of audiobooks and books. And I feel like that's been helping me a lot to just be able to like not be so stressed and taking everything so seriously. Where when I'm doing the 5 errands, I can just kind of pop in the audiobook and then be like listening. That's been really helping motivate me to kind of make things more fun, because
Yeah.
otherwise it's just like drudgery.
Yeah, like sprinkle in those fun things, as you said. I think to get things done off of our list, when we have a big to do list, the key, as you said, was kind of to batch those items of what things can I do together. And then what things, and to reward yourself of, okay, I finished these things. Let's make it fun. I'm going to get in the car and listen to my favorite audiobook as I drive around for these errands. I'm going to like, grab a fun snack from home or pick up something and eat that. I'm going to, you just add in these little things to make it a little bit more fun. And it doesn't mean you have to necessarily use time, like, then I'm going to take a long nap or a break, but you could add in like these little things that make it more, easy to be like, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. And then with the, asking for help, sometimes it's kind of like a sort of like a body doubling concept where you could be like checking in with someone. Like if there was sort of a big task that I was avoiding, I'd probably like text a friend and be like, okay, hey, Michelle, like I really have to work on this pre-move checklist and I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it this week. And then I'm going to, message to you tomorrow and let you know that I did it. Or just kind of being able to have that accountability with someone, or someone that kind of knows what you're going through and can kind of cheer you on, so that when you do complete something, they're like, oh, that's awesome. Great job. I bet you feel really good about that, and then move on to the next thing. So I'm someone that really thrives with that external accountability. Like everyone's different. My husband is very internally motivated, and he'll just like knock everything off of his list because he cares about it and that's enough for him. But for me, it's like, I don't want to do this, but if I can find someone to make it fun or check in with someone or something like that, then I'm just so much more likely to be able to do it, especially when it's some of these things that, again, future me will be super happy that I do. But current me is like, I really don't want to cook dinner, or like, I really don't want to go for a walk right now. Like, I'd rather just, scroll my phone. But knowing that those things, cooking a nice meal for myself and my family, going on a walk, like in the long run, that's going to make me feel so much better. Because in times of stress, I don't know about you, but in times of stress, I want to make like all the quote unquote bad decisions, which aren't really bad, but it's just like, give me the chocolate and the Netflix and give me the like, I just get to scroll and sit and kind of stew and feel sort of like, oh, I'm overwhelmed. So I'm just going to escape with this rather than doing the things that I know actually make me feel better, like going to bed early and like eating healthy and actually getting movement in and exercising and that kind of thing. But those things aren't like fun in the moment, I guess.
Yeah, and they're also, I want to say, you're kind of like, okay, I did this, but sometimes you have so much that you're processing and so much on your mind, and you're not even trying to procrastinate, but you're just kind of stuck with like, which thing should I do? Like you said, suddenly a client canceled and you're like, I have an extra hour, but I have these 15 tasks. And then you kind of get paralyzed of like, well, should I start on this one? But this one also has these other things. Or should I do this one? And that one leads to this, or this one I have to talk to somebody about. So you're going through all these different tasks in your head, trying to figure out which one you're going to do. And then by the time you figure out which one you're going to do, you've already wasted like 20 minutes. So then you're like, now I can't complete that whole task. So it's the idea of taking a deep breath and just starting one step of like, okay, I'm just going to write everything down in my head and then I'm going to batch it. And then I'm going to start on that first task batch that I talked about, whether it's errands or making dinner or figuring out X, walk through that instead of feeling like, I have all these things, never mind. And then just like sitting on the couch and being like, I'm done. My brain turned off.
I can totally relate to like the time wasting thing with the indecision about what to do because sometimes you have maybe like time blindness where you're like, I don't know how long this is actually going to take. And we estimate kind of wrong for either which way. And for me, sometimes it is helpful. Like if I know in my normal weekly schedule that perhaps I kind of batch some of my like phone calls or to dos and that kind of stuff together, then it's looking at it as like a whole block and being like, oh, okay, well, now that this client canceled, I can move some of my to dos and phone calls and kind of like batch all of those in this, time period. I think where I struggle, it's like the 10 to 15 minutes you weren't expecting. And then I'm like, but what can I really do in 10 to 15 minutes, And I feel like if I had sort of a list of like quick tasks or something, then that would probably help me. Do you do anything like that? Because I feel like that would help me in those like really small time pockets that sometimes come up.
Yeah, I was just listening to somebody who used to have a note card and she was trying to m- create another business while she was working at one company. So she didn't have very much time. So she made a note card about what are the things she could do that would move her company forward that she was creating in the pockets of time. So she had like 1 minute, I can do these tasks. 5 minutes, I can do these tasks. 15, I can do these tasks. So then when she had a few minutes, she would pull up her note card, or you could probably do it on your phone, but whatever, and say, okay, I have 1 minute, I could do these. And it triggers your brain of like, I have to email Emily and I forgot about that. That'll take me 2 minutes so you can email. And you had text, email, call, or something, into your 1 minute slot, and so it would trigger your brain to think of those things instead of be indecisive and be like, I have 15 minutes. I don't know what I can work on. And so by the time you think about what you can work on, you've used your 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. I need to do that. I'm pretty good with like business things, having those slotted and sort of knowing how long things take. But when it comes to like personal things or things around the house or like cleaning or errands or research or emails, that kind of thing, I really struggle when I sort of have that pocket. So I think that that will really serve me because then when you feel like you have so much to do and then you actually have that little pocket of time, you feel like, like I need to do something. I can't waste it. I can't like waste that
Right.
time. And then if you do end up wasting it, then you kind of feel bad about yourself. And then it's sort of like this spiral, at least for me. So I think having like some of those, I've heard it called quick hits, like kind of like those things that are like the 15-minute or less tasks, but having them readily available, that would be really helpful for me. So another thing for me to think about.
Your small note card of small tasks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've been trying to take more off my plate as far as like email. I love connecting with a lot of people, a lot of entrepreneurs, finding out what they're doing, how are they doing. And so I get on a lot of lists and then I find my inbox is huge and I just spend all my time going through hundreds of emails. And then by the time I look up and I didn't do these other 5 tasks I needed to do because it took me forever to go through my email and I'm not even done. So I've been finding ways to like minimize that going through it. So oftentimes I've searched on my computer for whoever I'm getting the email from and then batched those as far as like look through them all really quickly and then file all those quickly and they're done and out of my inbox. And then also realize who do I really want to hear from and who do I just want to hear from every once in a while? And people who I want to hear like every once in a while or go check what they're doing, I've set up filters so that it doesn't even go in my inbox anymore, but it just goes straight to a folder. And then every once in a while, I could go look at the folder and see what's the latest thing they're doing, how are, what's happening. But then I find that it's less that shows up constantly that I have to sift through.
Yeah. No, that's incredibly helpful. And I haven't really done a ton of like the filtering. However, I know what you're talking about, where I've gotten like, it's the kind of like, oh, I want to be educated about, a certain topic, or you got on their list somehow. And I have been, somewhat ruthless where it's like, if I know that I haven't read or opened their last maybe like 5 to 10 emails, like I find myself always just kind of deleting them when they're unread, then it's like, okay, I might unsubscribe from their list right now, but I know that they exist. And if I want to re-engage, like I can. But I have been noticing that, yeah, you kind of have to know your sources of stress. So for me, having an inbox that is overflowing is a major source of stress because it goes back to that things falling through the cracks or like not knowing what's important and what's not important. And I'm going to miss something. So that's like one of my greatest fears. So for me, not subscribing to a lot is important so that the stuff that does come in are actually things that I do need to respond to. So I tend to be kind of more than a filterer, which I do agree is a great tactic. I tend to unsubscribe from a lot. And then I'm like, okay, if I really want to hear from this person again, if I really want to get emails from this store again, it's very easy to get back on the list, right? So it all kind of depends on, yeah, how overwhelmed you get by the actual like number of emails, I think.
Yeah. And I'm thinking through it. Yeah. The reason I'm like, I don't want to unsubscribe because then what if I wanted to do that? It's almost like a closet with, a box and the not right now box or the one that you put in the garage. And it's kind of that it's a step where I'm not really throwing away the clothes or giving them away. I'm not really throwing away the email and saying I'm unsubscribing. I'm more saying, I'll just put it here for later. And then if I don't use it in like 30 days, then I'll unsubscribe. And so I'm putting a bunch of those in a box and then putting the box further down the road. But I should really like look through. There's a whole other section of like unsubscribe, and you can just click on the ones that you are subscribed to and like get rid of a bunch.
Yeah. And it all depends on the person because I just know, like, I think for Gmail, they show you 1 through 50 on like one page, and then 51 is like a separate page. You have to use like an arrow, right? So like get
Yeah.
to the next one. So I try to always have it be under 50. I'm like, if I have to do that arrow, that's like a major source of stress for me. Again, my brain, who knows? So for me, it's like I never think I'm going to have like inbox zero perfection. Like I don't strive for that
Not
because
gonna
that's
happen.
just impossible. I mean, the school emails alone, that is not going to happen. But for me, it's like if it's 50 or less, then I feel like I'm quote unquote on top of my inbox. I'm also kind of psycho when it comes to my text messages, and like
Oh,
I
good.
will like delete text messages and stuff like that quote unquote inbox. I know my husband thinks I'm crazy. He's like,
You're amazing.
he's like, why do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. It's this mental thought of like, I don't want to have to scroll through all of these conversations. Like, I want to be able to know and be able to handle what is in my
Right.
digital realm. And everyone's different, but Yeah, I'm pretty strict when it comes to my digital stuff because that will overwhelm me quickly.
Yeah, completely agree. I have lots of digital stuff, so maybe I'm more stressed
Yeah.
because I have like lots of windows open and things that I'm working on, and then I'm thinking, what do I need to get back to? So I definitely think you're on the right path. I often love to do that when I'm on an airplane. Like if I have my phone, because it's small and you can hold it in your lap, and you're not like digging through your bag for other things and trying to put it away or get it out and then forgetting it or thinking you put it in the seat pocket or rolled down the aisle to somebody else. So having just the phone or just a Kindle or something is really nice. So I really like to do stuff on my phone then, but there's no internet. So I often go through and like I'm going through my notes app and I'm like deleting notes that I don't need or looking through there, or I'm deleting apps that I don't need that are on there for some reason, or it's just that clutter that just builds up that you don't notice. And so I have found that when I'm on the airplane, I do like doing that.
Yeah, that's a perfect time for that. Or like even when you're waiting to board the plane or something and
Right.
you're kind of having that downtime. Yeah, I do a lot of, even with like photos and stuff, I do a lot of like digital cleanup during that time. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, I love I love going through my email while I'm waiting in the airport because I'm usually stressed. I'm usually looking around. I can't sit still and like, wait for the flight because I'm worried we're going to miss it. So I have to do a task that's like kind of moving. So I'm usually, and there's Wi-Fi, and I know once I get on the plane there won't be. So I'm usually on my phone, like going through all my emails. And yeah, when we went to North Carolina, I think I went through like 1,000 emails or something, and it was big down. Like it was like a great time. I like dumped a bunch of emails.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's all those little, as you said, those little tasks that you can put into those spaces. And sometimes it's just knowing, like I know I feel most comfortable when I go to the airport and that's the task I do. But oftentimes, as you said, when you are thinking, "Oh, what is that task?" To have a list will then be more helpful because you can just start in on those tasks versus think through which tasks.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right. As we kind of wrap up and we thought through lots of tasks and getting things done. And I love all the things because I know now in May, with all these little things that are sprinkled all throughout our week, right? How do we keep track of those? How do we take care of those? How do those not overwhelm us or stress us out? I think that's super helpful.
Yeah, I'm definitely feeling more grounded and feeling like I have like a game plan for how to approach everything. And hopefully everyone listening does as well because it is a very busy time. And it is, yeah, it's kind of like that confetti of like random stuff. And you're like, wait, what's this? Like, what am I finding? And it's just kind of like par for the course that we know that this time of year is like that. So anything that we can do to make it easier for ourselves is good.
Right. Anything you could take off your plate, as you said, you can say no to. Give yourself a gold star if you said no. Write it down if you need to, or write down maybe what you are replacing it with. Like, I am saying no to this so that I can do this. Because think oftentimes your brain's like, I could just do all these things. It's not a problem. You're like, hang on.
Yeah. And I've actually spoken to some friends with ADHD and they're like, but you don't realize that my brain really thinks I can do all of the things, you know? So we all kind of, yeah, have sort of that time blindness in some way or another, but it's recognizing that about yourself. And again, thinking of that future self, like what will that future self think? How will that future self be feeling if we aren't allowing any margin for ourselves now?
Right. And what does that future self need?
Yeah.
And yeah, how are you preparing that future self? Like tasks that you're doing now to help yourself later, or things you're taking off your plate to give yourself more space. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. It's always fun hanging out and talking to you. Now, if this is the very first episode people have heard you on, can you mention where people can find you?
Yes, of course. So my podcast is Moms Overcoming Overwhelm. And sometimes it's a therapy session for myself because I can feel overwhelmed sometimes too. But yeah, that's the best place to find me.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. I'm like, good luck on all your things.
Thank you. Hey, Mama, thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, could you please share this episode with another mom who is feeling overwhelmed? Also, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a 5-star written review wherever you listen to your podcasts. Finally, if you would like more support, come on over to our free Facebook group, tinyurl.com/moms overcoming overwhelm. Can't wait to connect with you soon.